Hello, this is Sweet June. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's having a blessed day. Um, I want to talk about today. I'm gonna do a little book review. I love to read, and I love to read. I've always been a reader. I always love to read, and I like to. I always constantly have to be keep. I like to stimulate something that's going to stimulate my mind. I always feel the constant need for my mind to be stimulated all the time. And I heard about this book called Black Pain. So I went to the library, picked it up, and I read it. And I'm telling you, YouTube, black people on YouTube, you need to read it. I think every black person in America needs to read this book. I'm going to show it to you. It's called Black Pain. If I can. Called Black Pain by Terry M. Williams. Oh man, I think every black person in America should read this book. I'm serious. She's talking about, this book is a real eye-opener. She's talking about depression in the black community and mental illness in the black community. How some of the things that's going on in the black community, how the root of it is depression. It's real deep. You know, how she was talking about racism and, the different things that black women are dealing with, different things that black men are dealing with. And she was talking about, different things that goes on in the black community. A lot of times the root of it is depression. Black on black crime, drugs, teenage pregnancies and, all types of different things that's going on in our communities. A lot of times the root of it is depression. And we're socialized as African Americans. We're socialized and we're raised and we're brought up to believe that, we always got to be strong all the time and how, going to the therapist, we go to the therapist, we don't want to be labeled as crazy or something like that, she was saying how white people go to therapists twice as much as we do, but black people on the average, do not seek therapy for depression or having other mental health issues, because it's just not part of our culture. We're not socialized that way, and this is where the problem is. We have to acknowledge the fact, it's like I said in my other blog about the strong black woman theory. It's overrated. We need to start acknowledging the fact that we are human, just like everybody else. And sometimes we need a little help, and it's nothing wrong with getting the help. If we need a little therapy, and when I'm talking to y'all, I'm talking to myself too. I'm talking to me as well, because I have a tendency to, I'm straight, I'm straight. I don't need no therapy. I've had times in my life where I dealt with some major depression that I probably needed therapy. And, I went to therapy at one time, and then I stopped because I was like, well, no, I'm straight. I don't need no therapist. And that's what black people do. It's like, and I'm not the type of person that, I don't think I need medication anyway. But, it's a situation to where we need medication. We don't want to do it because we don't want to be perceived as being crazy, and we always got to be, feel like we got to be strong all the time. So it's a major problem in our communities, and she was talking about how a lot of the things that's going on in our communities, the root of it is depression. And she was talking about how she had a lot of testimonies in the book, and I don't really want to go into, I don't want to, ruin it for you. I don't want to tell you too much about the book because I don't want to ruin it for you. But I'm telling you, every black person in America needs to read this book, because this book is a real eye-opener, because it's a lot of African Americans. She was talking about some of the things that black men go through, some of the things that black women go through, And a lot of the times, when we have to deal with racism and how it affects us mentally and psychologically. And she basically, talking about her situation and who and what she needed to do to get help when she needed it. And it's this book is a real eye opener. I think every black person should read this book because it was a real eye opener to me, and it just made me realize that in depression and mental illness is on the rise in the black community. Because I noticed that now, it was a man here, I live in Michigan. It's a man here in Michigan that killed his fiance, he killed his wife. He killed like 7 people, that the cops was chasing him down. He was like on a rampage. And I thought, when I first heard of it, I figured, not to be stereotypical, I figured it was a white guy, when I found out it was a black man, I was like, what? My mouth dropped. I'm like, what? Brothers usually don't be doing stuff like that. But, and I'm hearing more and more about black men doing these type of things that they typically don't do. That you typically hear of white men doing. Shooting up everybody in the house and, stuff like that, And it's because black mental illness in the black community is not being addressed. Turns out this man was on medication. And he went off of his meds. And this is what happened. He went like on a rampage. He wound up shooting his wife. Apparently, I think he had a mistress and he shot her. He shot his daughter. He shot her parents. One of them's parents. He shot like 7 people. He broke into like a house, just random. And they had a standoff. Cops was chasing them all over town. And this happened in Grand Rapids. And I mean, I don't want to be stereotypical, but like I said, the first thing I thought it was a white guy. But then when I found out it was a black man, I was like, I couldn't believe it. And the problem is that mental illness is not being addressed in the black community. And more of this stuff is happening, and because it's just not being addressed. The black people are not getting the therapy. They're not getting the, if you need to be on some type of medication, because sometimes it's clinical. Black people on the average are not doing it. They're not getting the help that they need to get it. And when I'm talking to you guys, I'm talking to myself too. Is that we really need to get the help if we need it. If we need the help, we need to go on and get it. And I know I made a promise to myself that I exercise, and I get a little depressed, but I exercise. I read my Bible. I'm a Jehovah's Witness, so going to my meetings, that gives me strength. I do a lot of praying, and a lot of times that does get me through. But I made a promise to myself. I promised myself that if I really got really bad, if my depression got really, really, really bad, that I would go and seek the help. That's a promise that I made to myself. But, God is able, God is good, I've been able to manage. He's been helping me. And she talked about that too, how black people depend on the church and spirituality to help them through whatever depression or whatever they're going through. And that's great and that's wonderful. But sometimes God put other people here to help us. And sometimes it goes a little deeper than that, and we need to, get a little bit more help. God, yes, number one, He definitely can help us. But sometimes God puts other people in our lives to help us. And sometimes we need to get a little bit more help, and there's nothing wrong with that. Because you can't be there for nobody else if you can't help yourself. If you can't take care of yourself mentally and physically, then you can't do anything for anybody else. You're no good to nobody else. So black people, we need to do that. If we're having some issues with mental health, depression, get the help. If you're doing everything you can and you're still feeling depressed, Some of the symptoms are, you're sleeping all the time. You either overeating or you're not eating enough. Um, Having thoughts of suicide, thoughts of hopelessness, those types of things. You start losing interest in the things that the activities you normally enjoy doing. You start losing interest in those activities. Those are some of the signs of depression, black people. And if you find yourself, sinking into it and you can't snap out of it, get help. Get you some help. And black families, please stop telling people to snap out of it, because that's being insensitive, and it's not being loving, and you're not being caring. If you have a family member that needs some psychological help, if you love them, have them help get the help that they need. Because a lot of things is going on in the black community. The root of it is depression. This is why black people, we need to address this. This is a major issue for us. And it's becoming more and more of a problem. I'm finding that black people are starting to do things that typically you hear of white people are doing. Shooting up everybody in the house or whatever. And so, black people, we need to get the help. When I'm talking to you, I'm talking to me. I'm talking to every black person in America needs to read this book. It's a good read. It's a real eye-opener. I'm telling you. Get it. Buy the book or get it at your local library. Oh, man. We need it, black people. We need it. Read the book. It's a good read. Black Pain. It's called Black Pain by Terry M. Williams. It's a real eye-opener. She did a beautiful job writing this book. Excellent job. And I'm here to give her a shout out. For black people, we got to address this depression thing. It's a major problem in our communities. We're human, like everybody else. We're human beings. We're not super people. If you need the help, get the help. There's nothing wrong with it. It makes you a stronger person to acknowledge the fact that you need the help. Okay. Might talk more further about this. Peace and love. Sweet June 2010.